This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute professional medical advice. Please consult with your doctor or a qualified healthcare specialist before starting any new vitamins or supplements mentioned in this video. Use of this information is at your own risk. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing you can never stand up again. For millions over 60, this nightmare begins with a simple weakness in the legs they ignored. It isn't just aging, it is your body shutting down. Do not let this silent killer drag you into a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, swinging your feet out of bed, and realizing they simply will not support you. It is not that they are tired, it is that the signal has been severed. For millions of people over the age of 60, this nightmare does not happen all at once. It begins with a whisper that you are likely ignoring right now. A slight heaviness in your step, a momentary loss of balance when you turn too quickly, or a cold sensation in your toes that socks cannot seem to fix. You might brush this off as just another symptom of getting older, but that is a fatal mistake. These are not signs of aging. They are the warning sirens of a body that is beginning to shut down from the ground up. Statistics show that for the elderly, a single fall is often not just an accident. It is the #1 predictor of mortality. It is the beginning of a rapid, terrifying countdown to a nursing home, a wheelchair, or a grave. Welcome to ElderFit Nutrition. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. If you are serious about defying these statistics and taking control of your biological destiny, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. By joining our community, you are not just watching videos. You are arming yourself with the knowledge to survive and thrive while others passively decline. Your support gives us the motivation to uncover these hard truths and share the life-saving protocols you will not hear anywhere else. Now, let's look at the terrifying reality of why your legs are the first to fail. We are conditioned to obsess over our hearts and our brains. We worry about chest pains. We worry about memory loss. Yet while we are looking up, the foundation is crumbling beneath us. Your legs are the ultimate truth tellers of your systemic health. Think of your body as a vast empire and your heart as the capital city. Your legs are the furthest outpost, the most distant frontier from the center of power. When an empire begins to collapse, it does not fall at the capital first. It abandons the outposts. When your heart is struggling, when your circulation is clogged with sugar and inflammation, and when your nervous system is under attack, the body makes a brutal calculation. It withdraws resources from the extremities to protect the core. This is why your legs are the canary in the coal mine. They are the furthest point from the pump, fighting gravity every second of every day to return blood to the heart. If your vascular system is compromised, if your arteries are stiffening, or if your blood is turning into a toxic syrup from insulin resistance, the evidence will not show up in your chest initially. It will show up in your calves, your ankles, and the soles of your feet. By the time you feel chest pain, the damage in your legs has likely been festering for a decade. The tragedy is that most people over 60 treat their legs as merely mechanical tools for transportation. They do not realize that the strength and sensitivity of their legs are the primary indicators of how long they have left to live. When you lose the ability to move with confidence, your world shrinks. You stop going out, you stop socializing, and your metabolism crashes. It is a domino effect that leads to what doctors call frailty syndrome, which is essentially a state of biological bankruptcy. We are here to stop that bankruptcy before it begins. We are here to interpret those silent signals, the swelling, the numbness, the weakness, and turn them into a roadmap for recovery. You are not destined to fall. You are not destined to lose your independence, but you must be willing to look down and listen to what your legs are screaming at you. Before we dive deeper into the specific biological mechanisms destroying your nerves and arteries, I want you to pause and reflect on what truly drives you to stay healthy. I want to hear from you in the comments section below. Which of these two futures scares you more? A, the physical pain of a fracture or surgery. B, the loss of dignity and having to rely on others for basic needs. Please type A or B in the comments right now. Your answer reveals a lot about your mindset, and understanding your fear is the first step to conquering it. Let's see where our community stands. To understand why your legs are betraying you, we must look at what is flowing through them. For many over the age of 60, the blood that should be a river of life has turned into a slow-moving, corrosive syrup. This is the insidious reality of high blood sugar and insulin resistance. You do not need a diagnosis of full-blown diabetes to suffer from this. Decades of consuming carbohydrates and sugars have created a toxic environment inside your vessels, and the first casualties of this chemical warfare are the delicate nerves in your feet. Think of your nerves as sophisticated fiber optic cables that send critical information from the ground up to your brain. These cables require a constant, pristine supply of oxygen and nutrients. But when your blood sugar remains chronically elevated, it acts like microscopic shards of glass, shredding the tiny capillaries that feed these nerves. This leads to a condition known as peripheral neuropathy, a medical term that fails to capture the true horror of the experience. It begins silently. You might notice that the sheets feel irritatingly heavy on your toes at night, or perhaps you feel a strange burning sensation that no amount of cold water can soothe. For others, it is a terrifying numbness, a phantom sensation where you feel like you are wearing thick wool socks, even when you are barefoot. This is not merely uncomfortable. It is your body losing its connection to the physical world. The longest nerves in your body, those reaching from your spine all the way to your toes, are dying back. They are suffocating because the vascular system meant to nourish them has been destroyed by the very food you eat. The root cause here is a fundamental misunderstanding of how much sugar the human body can tolerate. In a healthy state, your entire bloodstream should contain no more than 1 teaspoon of sugar. Yet, the modern diet floods the system with 50 to 100 times that amount daily. Your body deploys insulin as a frantic cleaning crew, a vacuum cleaner trying to suck this toxic excess out of the blood to save your life. But after 60 years of this relentless assault, the vacuum cleaner stops working. The pancreas is exhausted, and the cells refuse to open their doors. The sugar remains in the blood, rusting your tissues from the inside out. This metabolic failure does not just numb you, it agitates you. This brings us to the torment of restless leg syndrome. Many seniors accept this as a curse of old age, forcing them to pace the floors at 3 a.m. while their spouses sleep. But this is not a sleep disorder. It is a nutritional starvation. When you consume high levels of refined carbohydrates, you deplete your body's reserves of vitamin B1 and magnesium, 2 critical nutrients required to relax the nervous system and clear out lactic acid. Your legs are twitching and throbbing because they are chemically imbalanced and desperate for repair. The inability to keep your legs still is actually a distress signal from a nervous system that is inflamed and malnourished. By ignoring the connection between that bowl of pasta or that sweet treat and the twitching in your legs, you are allowing the destruction to continue unchecked. The numbness and the agitation are 2 sides of the same coin, a metabolic crisis that has moved from your bloodstream to your nerves, severing the vital link between you and the ground you walk on. While the nerves are dying in silence, a different catastrophe is unfolding within the plumbing of your body. We must talk about the hydraulic failure that manifests as edema. You may have noticed that by the end of the day, your ankles have vanished, replaced by swollen, puffy columns of fluid. If you press your thumb into the flesh of your lower leg and it leaves an indentation that refuses to bounce back, you are looking at pitting edema. This is not merely a cosmetic inconvenience. It is a sign that the return flow to your heart is broken. Your circulatory system is a closed loop, and when the pump is weak or the pipes are damaged, gravity wins. The blood that was supposed to return to your lungs for oxygenation is instead pooling in your lower extremities, turning into a stagnant swamp. This stagnation creates a dangerous burden on your heart. Think of the immense pressure required to push fluid through a system that is backed up. Every beat of your heart becomes a struggle against this inertia, wearing down the cardiac muscle year after year. But the pooling fluid is only the visible surface of the problem. Beneath the skin, in the deep veins of your legs, this lack of movement creates the perfect breeding ground for a much more immediate threat: deep vein thrombosis. When blood stops moving, it clots. These clots are silent assassins. They can form without pain, lurking in the deep veins until one day a piece breaks off. It travels up through the system, through the heart, and lodges in the lungs, causing a pulmonary embolism that can end a life in minutes. Furthermore, we are witnessing the hardening of the delivery system itself, known as peripheral artery disease. The arteries in your legs are lined with a delicate layer of cells called the endothelium. This lining is supposed to be smooth and flexible, allowing blood to glide effortlessly. However, inflammation and plaque buildup turn these flexible tubes into rigid, narrow pipes. It is akin to trying to push a thick sludge through a straw that is slowly being pinched shut. Your legs are starving for oxygen because the arterial highways are blocked. This manifests as hair loss on the shins, shiny or thinning skin, and a discoloration that looks like bruising but never heals. These are the physical markers of suffocation. Your tissues are gasping for air, and the heart is beating furiously against a wall of resistance, trying to save limbs that are slowly being cut off from the source of life. The swelling, the clots, and the hardening arteries are all evidence that the flow of life has stalled, turning your legs into a reservoir of deoxygenated, stagnant blood. The failure of the nerves and the stagnation of the blood are compounded by the silent disappearance of the engine itself, your muscle. We call this sarcopenia, a term that sounds clinical but describes a devastating reality. As we age, we do not just lose muscle mass, we lose the metabolic machinery that keeps us alive. Muscle is not merely for aesthetics or strength. It is the largest endocrine organ in your body. It is your primary reservoir for glucose disposal and your best defense against insulin resistance. When you lose muscle, you lose the ability to burn off the sugar that is destroying your nerves. But the loss is not uniform. You specifically lose the fast-twitch muscle fibers, the explosive fibers responsible for catching you when you trip. This is why a stumble at 30 is an embarrassment, but a stumble at 70 is a hip fracture. However, within this decline lies a hidden hero that most people completely ignore, the soleus muscle. Deep inside your calf, beneath the larger muscles you can see, lies this flat, powerful sheet of tissue. It is often called the second heart of the body, and for good reason. The veins in your legs have to fight gravity to push blood back up to the chest, but they cannot do it alone. They rely on the pumping action of the soleus muscle to squeeze the veins and propel the blood upward. In a sedentary body, this muscle lies dormant, allowing fluid to pool and clots to form. But when activated, the soleus is a metabolic powerhouse. It has an incredible ability to consume glucose and burn fat, even while you are sitting, provided you know how to engage it. We also cannot ignore the brutal truth of the sitting-rising test. This simple assessment, can you sit down on the floor and stand back up without using your hands or knees for support, is one of the most accurate predictors of all-cause mortality. It measures more than just strength. It measures balance, flexibility, and coordination. It is a functional report card of your musculoskeletal health. Failing this test is a clear signal that your fitness bank account is empty. You have no buffer left. Building muscle in your 60s and 70s is not about vanity. It is about survival. It is about constructing a physiological reserve that will carry you through illness and prevent the frailty that leads to the end of independence. The diagnosis is grim, but the sentence is not final. You have the power to reverse this decline, but it requires a radical departure from the habits that brought you here. The first step in this life-saving protocol is non-negotiable. You must stop poisoning the well. You cannot medicate your way out of a dietary crisis. To stop the destruction of your nerves and arteries, you must adopt a low-carbohydrate lifestyle combined with intermittent fasting. This is not a diet for weight loss. It is a metabolic intervention to lower insulin levels and stop the sugar rusting of your tissues. By compressing your eating window, you give your body the time it desperately needs to repair the endothelial lining of your blood vessels. Once you have stopped the damage, you must actively repair the infrastructure. For those suffering from the burning numbness of neuropathy, standard vitamin B1 is often insufficient. You need benfotiamine, a fat-soluble form of B1 that can penetrate the fatty sheath of the nerves to stimulate healing, paired with alpha-lipoic acid to reduce oxidative stress. To address the pooling fluid in your ankles, you do not need less water. You need more potassium to balance the sodium and drain the swamp. Furthermore, to prevent the calcification of your arteries, vitamin K2 is essential to guide calcium out of your blood vessels and back into your bones where it belongs. Simultaneously, we must widen the roads for blood flow by boosting nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes arteries. You can stimulate this naturally by consuming nitrate-rich foods like arugula and beets, and by practicing nasal breathing, which releases this gas directly into your system. Finally, re-engage the second heart of your calves. You do not need a gym membership for this. Simply perform the Soleus Push-up while sitting. By repeatedly raising your heels, you pump stagnant blood back to the heart and burn glucose without fatigue. This is your toolkit for survival. It is time to stop accepting decline as inevitable and start building a biological buffer that ensures your final years are spent on your feet, not in a bed. We have covered a significant amount of ground today, and I understand that facing these biological realities can be unsettling. Realizing that the numbness in your toes or the swelling in your ankles is not just a nuisance, but a warning signal from a dying system, is a heavy burden to bear. However, knowledge is only terrifying when you lack the tools to act on it. Now that you understand the mechanism, that sugar is the poison, that insulin resistance is the root, and that muscle inactivity is the accelerator, you are no longer a victim of the aging process. You are now the architect of your own biology. The human body possesses a miraculous capacity for regeneration, even in its 6th or 7th decade. It is waiting for you to stop the assault so it can begin the repair. The moment you lower your insulin levels through fasting, the inflammation in your arteries begins to cool. The moment you introduce benfotiamine and remove the sugar, the nerves attempt to reconnect. The moment you start the Soleus push-ups, the stagnant blood begins to move again. You are not fighting a losing battle against time. You are fighting a winning battle against bad habits. Please do not let this video be just another piece of content you consume and forget. Let this be the turning point where you draw a line in the sand. The choice before you is stark. One path leads to the slow erosion of your independence, where the world shrinks down to the 4 walls of a bedroom because your legs can no longer carry you to the places you love. The other path requires discipline and a change in lifestyle, but it leads to a future where you are the one pushing the wheelchair of a friend, not the one sitting in it. It leads to playing with your grandchildren on the floor and standing up without a groan. It leads to the profound dignity of self-reliance. Your legs have carried you through every challenge of your life so far. Do not abandon them now when they need you the most. The power to heal is already inside you. You simply need to unlock it. Deep lesson and application. The lesson. The most profound takeaway is that aging is mandatory, but decay is optional. We often conflate getting older with falling apart, accepting pain and immobility as the price of age. This video proves that what we call aging is often just the cumulative result of metabolic errors, specifically high blood sugar and inactivity. Your body is not wearing out, it is rusting out. How to apply it? Start your leg rescue protocol immediately. Morning, do not eat immediately. Extend your overnight fast to 14 to 16 hours to let your insulin drop. During the day, whenever you are sitting, perform the Soleus Push-up, heel raises. Aim for 10 minutes total per day. Evening, inspect your feet. Look for color changes or swelling. This daily check-in keeps you connected to your body's signals. Diet. Swap your morning toast or oatmeal for eggs or skipped breakfast entirely. Remove the fuel sugar that is burning your nerves. We would love to hear your thoughts and learn from your experience. Please answer this simple question in the comments below. Which of the healthy changes mentioned today do you think will be the hardest for you to start? Cutting out sugar, carbs, or sticking to a daily exercise routine? Please share your honest answer so we can all support each other. If you found value in this deep dive and want to help us continue our mission of empowering seniors to take back their health, please hit the subscribe button. Your support is the fuel that keeps ElderFit Nutrition going. Thank you for watching, and here is to your strength.